We remember July 20, 1969 as a moment of absolute perfection. The crisp white spacesuit, the stark shadows, and the American flag standing perfectly still against the blackness of space. But that pristine image hides a much darker reality. Just moments before that flag was planted, the entire Apollo 11 mission was careening toward a fatal crash. Inside the lunar module, the environment was pure chaos. The navigation computer, overloaded with irrelevant radar data, began blaring alarms that the crew had never heard in a simulation. At that exact moment, the lander's fuel supply was dropping past the critical safety margin. Blinded by alarms, the guidance system flew the spacecraft toward a massive crater surrounded by car-sized boulders. Touching down meant instant destruction. Averting a fatal crash relied entirely on the unique psychological conditioning of the man at the controls. Neil Armstrong didn't fit the mold of the reckless hotshot test pilot. He was, first and foremost, a meticulous aeronautical engineer. He viewed flight through the lens of thermodynamics and structural limits. Flying experimental rocket planes like the X-15 at the edge of the atmosphere meant accepting that complex machines will eventually break. His job was to calculate exactly when and how those systems would fail and figure out how to survive it. That capacity to process failure was put to the test 3 years before Apollo. In 1966, Armstrong was commanding Gemini 8 when a short circuit caused one of the spacecraft's maneuvering thrusters to stick wide open. The capsule entered a terrifying tumble, reaching a dizzying rate of 1 full revolution per second. In the vacuum of space, extreme G-forces began draining blood from the astronauts' brains, pushing them right to the edge of unconsciousness. Measured, precise tone. Instead of succumbing to biological panic, Armstrong compartmentalized the terror. He methodically diagnosed the problem, shut down the entire main maneuvering system, and manually fired the re-entry thrusters to stop the spin. Gemini 8 revealed a crucial data point to NASA Command. When the alarms go off and the machinery starts trying to kill you, Armstrong's brain defaults to cold, sequential logic. To prepare for the actual lunar landing, NASA built a machine to simulate the moon's gravity. The Lunar Landing Research Vehicle was a jet-powered contraption so inherently unstable that the astronauts nicknamed it the Flying Bedstead. During a training run in 1968, the vehicle's propellants suddenly depleted. The craft pitched forward, entirely out of control. Armstrong ejected into a parachute barely a fraction of a second before the machine slammed into the ground and erupted into a massive fireball. Colleagues later found him back at his desk, quietly doing paperwork. He treated the near-death experience as just another engineering variable. So as Apollo 11 plummeted toward that field of boulders, Armstrong wasn't overwhelmed. He instantly filtered out the distraction of the computer alarms and trusted the engineers down in Houston who told him the data was still good. Taking manual control, he hovered the fragile lander, skimming over the dangerous craters to find a safe patch of dust. He used the exact reflexes he'd developed fighting the Flying Bedstead in the Texas desert, touching down with only seconds of fuel remaining. He didn't survive Apollo 11 by luck. Every experimental jet he wrestled with, every tumbling capsule he stabilized, and every exploding trainer he walked away from paid for the skills required in those final few seconds. With the engine finally cut and the dust settling on the Sea of Tranquility, the immediate crisis was over. When Armstrong climbed down the ladder, his famous words about a small step marked a beginning for humanity. But for the man speaking them, that step was an ending. It was the final output of years spent enduring the unsurvivable. The Apollo program produced some of the most complex machinery ever conceived. Despite thousands of engineers meticulously wiring these circuits, the hardware remained fragile. Without a human mind to bridge the gap when computers failed, the metal was useless. History's most extraordinary triumphs are rarely spontaneous. They are paid for by the quiet, calculated competence of those willing to endure the crucible.